We are joined by author Amish Tripathi. Mr. Tripathi, I know you're running a real packed schedule in United Kingdom, so thank you so much for taking out time and joining us here on NDTV. I just want to begin by asking you, Mr. Tripathi, when Prime Minister today inaugurated this new building, he said this, that, this very moment is going to be etched in the memories of all of us forever. You as a citizen of India, what were your thoughts when you were watching this inauguration?
Megha, the way I see it, many of our structures in the National Capital Region are actually colonial structures. They reflect a colonial attitude. The Indian Parliament, I'm sure you're aware, was inspired by the Chausat Yogini temple from Madhya Pradesh. But much of the symbolism in there, remember it was built as a council for princes. So much of the symbolism in there are actually British. So for example, there's a reason why the Rajya Sabha upholstery is colored red and Lok Sabha is colored green, because the House of Lords in the UK Parliament is colored red and the House of Commons is colored green. So actually, without us even realizing it, many of the symbols in the Parliament are actually of the British Raj. Now, when we gained independence, we did update many of the symbols. So, for example, we adopted the Dharma Chakra, which is the ancient dharmic symbol, the Hindu, Buddhist, Jain symbol. We adopted Ashoka's lion pillar. But in many of our structures, they weren't updated, the actual physical structures. You could make a case that maybe we didn't have the money earlier. But now that we do, I think it's a good idea to build new structures which reflect India's civilizational ethos. There's also, of course, the equally important aspect that these new buildings will raise efficiency. As someone who's visited the Parliament, and you have visited, I'm sure, far greater number of times than I have. You could sense that building was bursting at the seams. The office space for the MPs wasn't good enough. The capacity simply wasn't good enough. The Indian Parliament wasn't earthquake resistant, for example, which is a shocking fact to discover. Bhagwan na kare if an earthquake had happened. So the new structure, of course, is better from an efficiency perspective as well.
So, Mr. Tripathi, having written the Meluha book, in Shiva trilogy, from there to the series on Ram, you've written a lot about the cultural past of India. And so I ask you this question, what according to you is the significance of the Sengol? There's been so much of a controversy around it.
I'm not a historian. I'm actually a maths graduate. So I'm as left-brained and boring as they come. I'm a history enthusiast. I read a lot of history. I read a lot. I read 5-6 books per month. So of the stuff that I have read, there is a North Indian equivalent of the Sengol, and such a ceremony is there in every part of India. It's called Rajdanda. So Rajdanda is mentioned in the Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is actually a governance discussion. Acharya Chanakya's Arthashastra mentions the Rajdanda. Thiruvalluvar's Thirukural mentions the Rajdanda, but in the name Sengol. It's the same concept that essentially it's like a scepter. It is believed that Lord Shiva himself would manifest in that scepter, the Rajdanda, and hence there's the Nandi, Lord Nandi bull on top, which is also many scholars say can also refer to the bull of Dharma, and the entire concept is that the state and the ruler must be guided by Dharma in how they run the state. Dharma is not religion. Dharma is often erroneously translated as religion. Dharma is actually above religion. Panth translates as religion. Dharma is the right way to be, the balanced way to be, the sustainable way to be, the duties that a state must follow. And that's what the Rajdanda is supposed to signify, the Sengol Rajdanda. And actually, if you read across India in the ancient Rajyabhishekas or the coronation ceremonies, this was a part of the coronation ceremony. You find it described. I haven't heard the term Sengol. I have to be honest. I've studied in Tamil Nadu. I did my primary schooling out there, but I had heard the term Rajdanda. It's a delight to discover that Sengol is the same thing, and it's actually been given pride of place in our parliament. It's wonderful.
Right. So, Mr. Tripathi, there is a section in the political setup of our country, and that includes, of course, the Congress, which now has been saying that this government is lying, that they are lying about Sengol, and that there really isn't much in terms of historical evidence to suggest that this was really the symbol that was used at the time of independence to signify the transfer of power. What would you have to say on that?
Megha, I certainly wouldn't like to be drawn into any political controversy, but I can say that from what one has read of descriptions of coronations in ancient past, a scepter or a Rajdanda or a Sengol was given to kings and indeed queens. I'm sure you're aware that in ancient India we had queens who ruled in their own name, like Rani Prabhavati Gupta. So if you read the coronations, that ceremony was actually described. Whether the Honorable First Prime Minister of India, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Nehru, whether he went through the ceremony, there are articles that are there in Time or New York Times. But I guess it's best if scholars of that era explore and make a judgment call on that. But what I would advise is, more than the political controversy, to me, this seems like a civilizational moment. It's in a way, I'm sitting in Wales right now. I'm in Cardiff. I'm here on a book tour. My own book is being launched in the UK. And the Welsh language for many centuries, Megha, was actually oppressed by English. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the recent coronation of, that happened with King Charles. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Welsh language was also used. So in a way, it was a revival of an ancient spirit. And you can see the pride in the eyes of the Welsh when they speak of this. And I see a similar, thought with the Sengol being revived. And if you notice, Megha, you can say that it's a Tamil word. That the Sengol itself was made and consecrated by Adinams from a Tamil mutt, but you don't find the common people in North India, West India, East India saying this is not our symbol. In fact, everyone is saying this is our symbol, and to me, that is a civilizational moment of unity that I would like to focus on. Political battles will keep happening, but I think this is a much bigger issue to look at. I genuinely believe it's a civilizational moment.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this issue. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Tripathi.